Hello, I'm Macy Davis and I'm giving my video presentation about my research articles that I did. This is for the Exceptional Children's class, Internet Assisted, and we meet on Wednesdays from 10 to 10:50. The first research article that I did was over Getting Young Athletes Off to a Good Start by Mike Bracco. The second research article I did was What Drives Embryo Development? Chromosomal Normality or Mitochondria by Philip D. Carter. The third research article I did was over The Academic Mainstream by Jennifer A. Dixon. The fourth research article I did was over Open to Learning by Meredith Swartz. The fifth research article I did was over Home Field Advantage by Library Journal staff. So the first research article over Getting Young Athletes Off to a Good Start by Mike Bracco was written about getting young athletes in strength training. It starts off by telling us that even though there's a lot of talk about obesity in America, many children want or are active in multiple different sports. So it talks about how strength training would be a great thing for students to get students and children to get involved in. It improves gross motor skills, reduces body fat, increases muscle mass, and improves physical well-being. So this would not only be make a child more healthy, but it could grow their brain as well, as when they're memorizing techniques and different things they do in strength training, it can grow their brain, which would help them in class and stuff like that. It talks about safety and how that's a very big deal to them, and how they only do activities for children, and that they want them to keep them safe, and that's their overall health is very important to them. This article was overall very well organized and easy to read with pictures and good format. So it had lots of headings and images to show different things that a child may do in their strength training classes. It was informative and helpful to anyone interested in this strength training class. So someone wanting to get their child involved in this and that might be scared about the effects of it would definitely need to read this article, because it shows different training skills and things that would be very helpful for a student to get involved in, and they would be assisted by this article definitely. The second research article I did was over What Drives Embryo Development, Chromosomal Normality or Mitochondria by Philip D. Carter. It speaks about how how people are unsure about what the development of the embryo is and what drives it, and so they're trying to answer that question for us. It showed that they found a decline in fertility in older women, which was due to decrease in oocyte and an increase in abnormality. The mtDNA, the content, female age, and lack of correlation between mitoscore and chromosomal information of the embryo often develops the embryo. So if there's multiple different things that go into the embryo and the development of it, that can affect it badly or good. So anyone with embryo or fertility questions should definitely read this article, because it was informative. It had 2 examples of women and what they had to go through to get pregnant, and the different struggles they faced when they were trying to get pregnant, and how these questions were very important to them, and it was helpful for them to understand what was actually going into the development of the embryo. A suggestion for this article would be maybe defining some terms and phrases used, because I had to often search outside of the article to know what they were talking about. So it would be helpful for sure for someone that doesn't know a lot about this topic to include definitions of some of the harder words and phrases. but it had lots of good resources that you could further your search for information from. So if you didn't get all that you needed in this, you could find other resources from it. But it was very helpful and informative. The third research article I did over the academic mainstream by Jennifer A. Dixon discussed technology and how it's always changing and streaming videos is becoming popular. It discusses how popular it is in schools these days and how 61% of students in school have students and teachers often have to create videos. Sometimes staff will ask teachers to create videos for their students. Maybe like if there's a sub one day, they will have to create a video for their students to watch, and how oftentimes teachers or students have to create videos as well as teachers, because they either might have to do it as a homework assignment, and they students are sometimes required to research videos that someone has streamed. So that's another reason why streaming videos is becoming popular. So if a student is looking for some information, they may look on the internet for videos. So this is also important. It talks about how they get videos in their schools and how the library often chooses a vendor, and it's called LibGuides, and it has a lot of different interesting and academic videos for the students to choose from, with many different themes and things like that. It was a very interesting article, I thought, with good information. It was easy to read with the terms it used. It was very understandable and had relaxed wording. It also had good headings, which made it easy to follow along. It had charts and graphs and surveys. They took a lot of surveys, which was helpful for a reader to see what the students and teachers were involved in, what they were either researching or creating themselves. A suggestion for this article would be to add photos to allow the reader to see what the students are choosing from, like the different articles and maybe what they're including and talking about in them. So for anyone that doesn't know anything about streaming videos, would be definitely should read this article, because it had lots of information. It would be good knowledge for someone. It would be very helpful. The fourth research article I did was Open to Learning by Meredith Schwartz. It talked about the goal was to renovate the design of libraries. So they went around to many different libraries trying to renovate them and make it into a trendier theme. They went to many different libraries, and they had a different architect for each library. They talked about how this was a struggle for them because they, although it was a different library and they had to rethink things, it would have been helpful to have the same architect. So maybe in their new projects they're going to move forward with that information. They talked about each library they had to brainstorm like what different things and what ideas they were going to have that needed renovating. So each building was different, so different things needed renovating. They had sponsors who helped create what they had envisioned, so helped them pay and get the resources they needed to renovate that, because definitely going to need money for something like that. They received feedback from the sponsors and the community, the people that used the libraries the most. They were very thankful for the renovations for sure. Overall, this was a good read. If you're trying to get more information about how large groups can work together to accomplish something great, it would definitely be good information. So it was interesting with all the stories and ideas about renovating a large building. So like also someone trying to renovate something should read this, because it was good information. It was laid out very nicely, and it was easy to read. A suggestion would be to add before and after photos so people could really see what they were renovating. People love photos, definitely before and after, so that would be a great addition to this article. The fifth article I did was over Home Field Advantage it was written by the Library Journal staff. This was about the American Library Association, and they often hold a annual convention, and this particular one was focusing on confidence. They usually have a large group of people that get together, but this one had lots more because Hillary Clinton gave the keynote speech, which brought in a lot of people. They discussed their core values and many other topics like climate change, membership, and social media, and they all related back to confidence, which was their main goal in this. The convention lasted 6 days and had many different guest speakers. All were very interesting with good topics, but talking about confidence. So the people that got to attend this felt very lucky to have this experience. This article was organized and written well with great headings and photos. It had many photos of the different days the convention was held on. It had interesting information, and definitely anybody wanting to learn more about this organization should read this article because it showed all the different things they covered during their convention. Their core values were great, and it would be a great resource for anyone that needed core values in maybe an organization or something. So like a group in school like FFA or FCCLA or anything like that that needed new core values or really needed to get their group together and have more leadership should read this article. So those are my 5 articles. Thank you.